Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Armageddon Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. And the topic gonna be Abraham and Lot separated. Now you know, Lot gonna be following Abraham everywhere he go because his daddy had died, and Abraham been mentoring Lot. And you know his daddy was Abraham's brother. So Abraham and Lot had become so prosperous, that they could not live side by side in the land of Canaanites. They had to separate, because God had blessed Abraham, and remember he said Abraham gonna be a blessing. And he said everyone that's in the nation gonna be blessed through Abraham. So by Lot following him, he blessed. He blessed through Abraham. So the story gonna come from Genesis chapter 13, 1 to 18. Now this is after Abraham and his wife had left Egypt. Remember they had the little incident at Egypt with his wife said she his sister, and then Pharaoh got mad and sent them on their way. So they went to Nevi. And now we know that God had blessed Abraham. Abraham become very wealthy in his lifestyle and silver and gold. From the Never he went from place to place until he came to Bethel. Abraham is so blessed, you know, and Abraham is so blessed, and Abraham blessed Lot, because God said anyone that's around you, they're blessed, you know. So remember, God, he will. God said that Abraham will be a blessing. We see that he blessed Abraham. He blessed Lot very well. You know, a blessing. He will be a blessing, and everyone on earth will be blessed through Abraham. So Lot is moving along with Abraham. So they think, they're moving along, with Abraham. Abraham moving into the Canaanites. That God said He's gonna give him that land. So they both have so much possession. Were so great that they were not able to stay together. Both of them got so much stuff. And Lot he just accumulating so much stuff. You know, and Abraham got so much stuff. They both got so much stuff, so they can't even live side by side with each other. So they start having a heated argument, over Abraham herds, a large group of animals. Now, herds is a large group of animals, you know, and Abraham must have had so many of them. So they start arguing, So they both have so much possession. And Abraham have the herds, and they just can't live together. He been looking after Lot, but when you start having a heated argument, it's time to separate. It's time to separate. And a lot of time you can't stay. He trying to help his cousin out. But both of them is rich. Both of them prosper. Both of them got so much stuff that they can live side by side with each other. So God promised the land, Canaanites, but the Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at the time, So God really didn't give him fully the land yet. Because when God fully give you the land, you got to take everyone out, So he living on the land what his offspring gonna have, and they gonna drive everyone out of the land and possess the land. But right now, Abraham, people they still living in the land, and Abraham is just testing out the land that God gonna give his offspring. So Abraham is a peacemaker. So they're arguing and stuff like that. He a righteous man. He not gonna keep arguing with Lot. He a peacemaker. He said to Lot, let's not have any more argument, between you and me. We are close relatives. And Abraham said, let's part, let's part company, and you go left and I go right. See, he's a righteous man. He's not gonna keep the bickering going on and on. He gonna come to some kind of solution so they can stop arguing. He said He said, let's depart. You go left, I'm gonna go right. And it was like Abraham, he's a peacemaker, and he is a righteous man. And he didn't want to keep arguing with his cousin Lot. Now he said, you go left and I'm gonna go right. You know. So Lot chose plan of Jordan and set out towards the east. Now they live in separate ways. Now he said he told Lot, you go left, I'm gonna go right. So Lot chose to go left, and left is towards Sodom. So that's how Lot ended up in Sodom in God's mind. Now this was before God destroyed Sodom. So now we see why he was living in Sodom with all the wickedness in. And Abraham down the line, Abraham gonna have to come and rescue him. The angel gonna have to get him out of there because God gonna destroy that whole city because of wickedness. And that's what Lot went there. When he went left, that was his love took him to that city. So Abraham and Lot depart from each other, and one went left, one went right. So Abraham lived in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived in the city of Plain near Sodom. So now the people in Sodom was wicked, and they were sinning greatly against the Lord. You know, so that city there, was doing all kind of stuff. And if it won't be for Abraham praying for Lot, Lot would have been destroyed right along with the people. But he have Abraham there. Abraham, had prayed for him. He prayed for God to not, take his cousin out. So now God speak to Abraham after Lot left. Now, so Lot left. He going his way to Sodom and his wife, and they gonna live there. So soon as he left, God started talking to Abraham. God said, "Look around where you are." So God told him, you just look around. Look around where you at. Where you at. To the north and to the south, the east and the west. And God said, all the land that you see right now, I will give to you and your offspring, forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth. Now God said, I'm going to make your offspring the dust of the earth. And God also said, if you can count the dust, I mean, you can count your offspring. And we cannot count the dust. So that means you ain't going to be able to count the Israelite. Because we already know the Israelite had grown, had multiplied so greatly. To you can't even count it no more, how many it is. And that's what God said. If you can count he said, I'm going to make them as the dust. So he said, if you can count the dust, that means you can count your offspring. And we know we cannot count the dust. We cannot count the dust. So that means we won't be able to count the Israelite. So I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth. So that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. So they can't be counted because we cannot count no dust. So God said, walk through the land and breathe, of the land, for I am giving it to you. So God tell him, you walk around. He said, breathe, breathe on this land because this is the land I'm going to give you. So now we see that Abraham is standing on a land that God will give him and his offspring. So Abraham's offspring would be so large, you would not be able to count them. Because God said if you can count the dust, I mean you can count your offspring. So God said if you're able to count the dust, then you'll count them. Now we know you cannot count the dust. So the Israelite will be so large, and they was so large. So Abraham lived near the great trees, and here these trees again. See, God chose this land, and he chose these trees. Because you remember when the Israelites had to possess their land, the first thing God told him, do not cut these trees. Do not cut this tree. Now we see these is some great trees. It's some great trees. And there he built an altar to the Lord. So Abraham lived near the great trees. And there he built his altar to the Lord. Now he built the altar to the Lord right next to the trees. So now we see these great trees, when they possess the land, God would tell them to do not cut the trees. So Abraham had mentor. See, Abraham had mentor a lot after his brother died. That with Abraham, Lot dad, father. So after his father died, he been clinging to Abraham, and Abraham been a mentor to Lot, for years, but their family had reached its limit after they had the Hegel argument. Over the herbs, all the possession they had. They could not live next to each other. So now, they done reached their limit. They done reached their limit. So the land could not support both of their herbs living side by side. Herbs is so many large animals. So Lot got large animals, Abraham got large animals. It was just too much for them to live side by side. So the land could not support both of their herds, living side by side. The herds is a large group of animals, so their herdmen argument and got on each other's nerves. To Abraham had to step forward to be a peacemaker. So Abraham was a peacemaker and he stopped the argument. He realized that they need space apart. Abraham and Lot separate. They had to realize, we reticent. We don't need to be arguing among each other. Let's just separate. So Abraham and Lot had separated. And we see that God really blessed Abraham greatly, and Lot was blessed through Abraham. So Abraham said, we are family. We should not be arguing. So one went left, one went right. So Lot went to Sodom where they are wicked. They is wicked and they will be destroyed down the line. So we also see that God told Abraham, where you standing? He said, look around. Where you standing? He said, look around. Just breathe. Because where you standing is what the land, that's what I'm going to give you in your offspring. So turn around. Just turn around. Just breathe in and out. Just the land I'm going to give you in your offspring. So we also see that God told Abraham, where you standing? He said, look around. The land you are on, I will give you. I will give it to you in your offspring. Now, one, we see that Abraham is blessed. God had gave him a promises. The last time I had talked to him, God promised to bless him. God promised, to give him that nation. So we see God stuck to his promise. Abraham is blessed. And his cousin, anybody that's under Abraham, is blessed. And we see that a lot of people, they so much. He is rich long as he clings to Abraham. So two, Lot blessed through Abraham. And where he and the people, they so much stuff where they arguing and fighting over a whole lot of stuff that they can't even live side by side. So three, two families cannot live together, with riches overflowing. That reaches their limit. They reach their limit. And that's what Abraham had to realize, you go left, I'm gonna go right. So two riches with riches overflowing cannot live side by side. We see you cannot live side by side. Especially if you're trying to live together and you right next to the person, he got a lot of stuff, you got a lot of stuff. Two riches overflowing cannot live side by side. So four, God promised the land to Abraham and his offspring. The land he was standing on, God told him to turn around. You know, turn around and just breathe because it's all gonna be yours. You know, your offspring, no one would be able to count the dust of how many there are. You know, because you remember God told him, you know, you're gonna be a great nation. You know, you're gonna be a great nation. So pretty much this package is pretty much is a lot of Bible study. You know, um, I'm going to, you know, about to start Bible study, and you know, a lot of people probably don't know all the story from the beginning and to the end. You know, so it's a good idea. We all learn these stories together. You know, so we have Abraham and Lot. You know, his cousin. You know, they reach their limit of trying to live together. You know, you got a rich person, two richest person their riches is just overflowing, cannot live together, cannot live side by side. You know, and we see that God made a promise to Abraham, and he followed through because Abraham is blessed. You know, his cousin had become to be blessed just by being with Abraham. You know, so that's all the word I have for you on today. You know, the only lesson I have for you on today. And I see you and then Abraham was a mentor to Lot ever since his father had died. You know, so we still following through Abraham's story. You know, Abraham's story, the promise that God made to him. You know, we see that he is blessed. You know, we see that he is a blessing because he blessed Lot. You know, so that's all the word I have for y'all tonight, and I see y'all on the next video.